that means you probably had a very large student loan debt. I have had people who have massive student loans. It's really quite breathtaking to see. Well, for that, there are a couple of things we have to answer. Number one, are we talking about private student loans or federal student loans? Private student loans, the best you can hope for is to try to negotiate with a student loan lender to see if you can work something out. But they don't necessarily have a vested interest in helping you out because that debt is simply not dischargeable and they've got a sure thing. And this gets back to the secret of successful negotiations. You have to convince the person on the other side of the table that it's in that person's best interest to do what you're proposing. Appeals to compassion or mercy generally fall on deaf ears because creditors are not in the business of mercy or compassion. They're in the interest of making money for their shareholders. If it's a federal loan, there are some programs that may help. There's the Income-Based Repayment Plan. So if your income is low enough that you simply do not have the resources to make the full payment, you can put in an application for the Income-Based Repayment Plan, and if it's accepted, you can reduce your student loan payments. But unfortunately, with the private loans, you're sort of stuck. And as a matter of fact, I've had people whose student loan debt is so large that they don't qualify for Chapter 13 protection. Chapter 13 has no income limitation. Chapter 7 has no debt ceiling, but Chapter 13 has two debt ceilings. For a little while there was one debt ceiling, but that was introduced because of COVID and it's expired. Now there are two debt ceilings, one for secured debts, the other for unsecured debts. Student loans are unsecured debts, and you can convince yourself of that because if you don't make the payments, what will the creditor repossess? There haven't been lobotomies in the United States since the 1950s, a rather gruesome surgery where the prefrontal lobe of the brain was removed. So there's not going to be any removal of your knowledge that you gained when you went to school. So it's an unsecured debt. In any event, with regard to that unsecured debt, you can try to negotiate. If you can, great. If you can't, you're stuck. So you're going to have to convince that lender to cut you some slack by offering the lender something in exchange, depending on what you have. You can, of course, have the loan put in deferment for a while, but that's a limited piece of protection. I might add, this is a nasty little bite that the Social Security Act has. Normally, Social Security payments are protected from the depredations of creditors. They can come after your other assets, but they cannot touch Social Security. But the Social Security Act in Title 42, Section 407, has a provision that says that the federal government can come after Social Security payments to repay loans to the federal government, or debts to the federal government, I should say. And it turns out there was a U.S. Supreme Court case analyzing that very provision. There was an elderly gentleman. I'm starting to get a little elderly myself, I suppose. But anyway, he was collecting Social Security, and he had a student loan, and the feds were garnishing his Social Security. And he said, hey, wait a minute, Social Security is supposed to be protected. And so he litigated the matter all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court, and Sandra Day O'Connor, while she was still on the court, authored the opinion, which is a non-controversial opinion. And it appeals to that section of the Social Security Act that says the federal government can attach Social Security payments. No other creditor can do that, but the federal government can. So after the bankruptcy is complete, if you still owe those student debts, and let's say the years have gone on and you're collecting Social Security, if it's a federal loan, then the feds can come after the Social Security. If it's a private loan, that's protected. It's just the federal government that can come after Social Security.